Okay, so good day everyone. For our module number 1, so this is entitled Basics of Managerial Economics. So before we proceed with the discussion proper, so let us have a short overview of the contents of this module. So basically this is about managerial economics. So we will deal with the foundational concepts and the introduction of the subject matter. The nature and scope of this subject will also be discussed, as well as its interrelationships with other fields. So the economic tools that is being used for analysis of management performance for a sound financial and economic decision will also be considered. For the learning outcomes, so at the end of this module, you will be able to understand the basics of economics. You will be able to differentiate micro and macroeconomics. You will understand the concepts of this subject and identify the different economic tools that is being used. Okay, so for the content, just like what we have mentioned earlier, so of course we will introduce the term economics, the nature and scope of this subject, the relationships with other field, as well as economic tools. Okay, so to begin with, so let us have a short introduction of the term economics. Okay, so we have here the definition of the term economics, but I know that all of you have already encountered this term or have been enrolled in a subject discussing about economics. Okay, so let us just have a sort of a refresher on your part of what this term means. Okay, so based on the definition that is given to us, the term economics is said to be the science that studies how societies produce and consume goods and services. So this is also considered to be a social science that seeks to analyze and describe the production, distribution, and consumption of wealth. So basically, when we talk about the subject of economics, we always encounter the terms such as production and consumption of goods and services. So here, the production and consumption of goods and services is being studied depending on the scope of the the scope or the location. So later you will know based on its classification. But of course, what we are focusing here is how the consumers and the producers behave in such a way in which their behavior are being influenced by the supply and demand or the prices or other factors that may directly affect their decision making or behavior. So aside from that, aside from the goods and services, economics also is concerned with the production, distribution, and consumption of wealth. Okay, so how wealth is being distributed in the community, how it is being used to purchase goods and services, and how it is being used also for production. Okay, so next is we go to the different types of economics. So here, based on what we have mentioned earlier in the overview and in the indicative content of this module. So basically, we have two major types of economics. So we have the microeconomics and macroeconomics. So here, under the microeconomics, so what we are focusing and studying is the individual. Okay, so this is in the individual level. When we say individual here, we may mean as a single consumer, a particular firm. They can be also a household, which is the single unit of the society, a certain business organization, or a particular government agency. But what we are actually looking for here is the application of the economic tools and techniques as well as the concepts, we apply it on an individual level. So here, the analysis is for a certain aspect of human behavior. So may it be their demand or how their behavior is being influenced by the prices, supply, demand, and others. Okay, so here microeconomics will also try to explain um, the behavior and the changes of their response, okay, based on the influences that affect that behavior. So another thing about microeconomics is that it will try to explain how and why different goods are valued differently, how individuals also make their financial decisions, how they trade, coordinate, and cooperate with one another. So again, under the microeconomics scope, we are looking into a single unit of the society, a smaller part of it, a single person, a particular organization or business or government agency. Okay, so what about the second type of economics? So here, under the macroeconomics, so we will be studying the overall economy. Okay, basically, micro and macroeconomics are the opposite. Okay, so under the under the microeconomics, we are looking into a single or small unit of the society. In macroeconomics, we are looking in the overall economy. So here, we can analyze the national or international level. We can also focus on a distinct geographical region, which is composed of different province or state, or we can also study a particular country, a continent, or even the whole world. So here, what we are discussing and analyzing is a larger part, okay, of the community or the society. So therefore, the topics that we can include under the macroeconomics is the foreign trade. So this is the interaction between two or more countries in trading. Okay, we can also include government, fiscal, and monetary policy in a national level, the unemployment rates, inflation and interest rates, our GDP, business cycles, and other things that are also related to this uh, matters. Okay, this is also applicable for on a national or international level. Okay, that's why they are included under macroeconomics. Okay, so those are the two major types of economics. Okay, so the next part of this module is about the four key concepts in economics. So I know that you are also familiar with some of these terms. Okay, so the first one is scarcity. So basically, when talking about scarcity here, this refers to the limited resources that we have in our community. So we all know that our needs and wants are unlimited. However, the supply of the resources is limited. So there lies the problem. Okay, and in this case, economics will come in to solve that gap or problem between supply and demand, between the limited supply and the unlimited demand of the consumers. Okay, so this is scarcity. So the next concept is the supply and demand. Okay, so I know that you are already familiar with these terms, and we also have our separate modules and chapters where we discuss this supply and demand thoroughly. But in this case, we will just have a sort of an overview of these terms, okay, because these are the two most important concepts that is being used in economics. Okay, so when talking about supply, of course, this is the availability of the resources in the community, which is being used for production, okay, and will be produced to offer that in the market as a product or service. Okay, when it comes to the demand, so this is on the part of the consumers. So this may be their wants or needs. Okay, how they wanted to purchase a particular good or service. Okay, so we have here an example, okay, that is given. So the input here, or the raw material that is being used for production, is the wheat. Okay, so the wheat can be made into beer or flour. Okay, however, based on the demand in the market, there are higher demands for beer. So therefore, if you are the producer, in this case, you might be able to decide on producing more beer than flour, because in this case, producing more beer can provide us with greater profits because it has higher demand. However, if in the case where our supply of wheat is now starting to decrease, so we can, or the producer or the sellers can now increase the price of the beer. Okay, because here, this will help the producer to control, okay, the demand of the consumers. Okay, but of course, we will have to discuss this again in a separate module thoroughly. So this is just an overview of the concept. Okay, so again, this is for supply and demand. Okay, so the next concept is the costs and benefit. Okay, so cost and benefits, these are the, what you call that, um, cost and benefits are, or these are related to the rational expectations and rational choices of consumers. So actually, cost and benefits are trade-off. Okay, so meaning to say here, if you are the consumer, even the producer, so we always take the decision where we we maximize the benefits that we get out of spending a smaller amount of capital or money. Okay, meaning to say we have to make sure that we get more than what we paid for. So this is the rational expectation and choice of consumers. Okay, so I know that uh, you also agree, okay, with this uh, expectation as well. Okay, so getting more than what we paid for. Okay, maximizing benefits that we get out of spending a minimal amount. Okay, so because in economics here, normally we are we also encounter the terms efficiency and effectiveness. So here, that we can also relate that to cost and benefits trade-off, where we consume or use lesser inputs, but we produce more outputs. Okay, so the next concept in economics that is very important to consider is the incentives. So here, incentives come in if we want something to be done in a faster and accurate and of quality, okay, output. So this is a sort of motivation on the part of our subordinate. If for example, we are um, given a responsibility of overseeing our subordinates. So in order for us to get what we want from them, we have to provide or give them incentives or rewards. Okay, so again, this will equate into efficiency and effectiveness. Okay, so those are the different key concepts, uh, important concepts in economics. Okay, so the next part is about the basic factors of production. Okay, so here we have the following. So the first is land. Okay, so land can be in many forms. It can mean agricultural land where the farmers cultivate and produce crops. We can also mean land as somewhere there are natural resources that can be extracted, such as oil and other minerals. Um, We can also mean land as commercial or real estate, okay, and others. So again, land is one of the most important factors of production, especially in the earlier years, because normally we do and we get uh, more or something from land that can be used for production. Okay, that's why it was listed as the first factor of production. Okay, so the next factor is labor. Okay, when we say labor, basically this is referred to the effort that is being expended by an individual for a fee. So just like land, labor can also take in many forms, but what we are after is that this is the effort that is being performed or exerted by an individual for a fee. Okay, may it be from the construction, um, service, and others. Okay, so you know what labor means. Okay, so that is another important factor also of production, because in this case, labor helps us in the process of production. They turn input into output. That's how important labor is. Okay, so the next factor is capital. So basically in economics, when we say capital, we always mean it as money. However, money is not considered as factor of production. The reason is that money is not directly involved in producing a good or service. However, this was included because without capital, we cannot purchase the land, other assets that may be used for production, and we cannot pay for the labor. So that's why capital is needed to help us mobilize, okay, the production process. Okay, so the next is entrepreneurship. So here, entrepreneurship is considered to be a secret sauce that will combine all the other factors of production into product or service. So basically, this is the person and their expertise. So without someone who will combine the land, labor, and capital, so there will not be product or services at all. So the person, okay, that will combine all of this is also considered as a factor in production. Okay, and the last is technology. So in the earlier days, technology is not included in the list of factor of production because we are normally they just utilize human labor. However, in the recent years, when the technology rise, okay, and is now being used, so it now becomes or it was now considered as part of the factor of production, because we all know that technology makes production process faster. It also makes the process more efficient and effective. Okay, so that's why we now include this technology as part of the basic factor of production. Okay, so that would be for our first video lecture under the first module. So the next part of this module will be discussed in the next video lecture.